We're going to start this morning with a story on the front pages. Here it is. The Mirror has it as Plea after tax rise hint. Make it fair, Rachel. This is union leaders calling on the Chancellor to only tax the wealthiest people in society before targeting ordinary workers. We're asking today if you agree. Should only the rich pay more income tax? And we're taking your calls on it right now. Rachel Reeves refused to rule out tax rises yesterday, saying that her job will be to make the necessary choices in her budget later this month. Many people have speculated that this means the Chancellor will break her manifesto promise and increase taxes on working people after she made this comment.
If we are to build the future of Britain together, we will all have to contribute to that effort. Each of us must do our bit for the security of our country and the brightness of its future. There is a reward for getting these decisions right. To build more resilient public finances with the headroom to withstand global turbulence.
Marina, that sounds to me like we're being softened up for something really unpleasant that's coming in November. And it also sounded to me like we are all going to take that burden rather than those who have done best out of this country. What does it sound like to you?
I absolutely agree. And this is a moment that Labour could potentially turn things around and show people that they aren't scared to make big, bold choices. Brave choices.
They're also showing that they're breaking their manifesto promises. So that is not...
Yeah, and I think it should never have been in their manifesto. But this is where, if they do not take aim at the people who have got the most, and they shouldn't even call it a wealth tax. They should rebrand this so people understand, like people watching this show understand this isn't about, people on your street or people who've got 2 cars or people who've even got 3 houses.
Well,
This is about people who have got over £10 million worth of wealth that we want
I didn't get wealth tax from what she was saying.
What? No.
I got, if everybody is paying more, that suggests to me an income tax.
It does, and that is a massive... Do you know, and if they do that, then they have secured their fate. They have secured their fate because they will have just broken promises and always gone for the wrong people. And at the moment, Labour seem to always be targeting the people who can least shoulder the burden, either the sick people or people out of work or the middle classes who are completely squeezed without ever looking at the top. So if they make that mistake again, they haven't got long for this.
You would say a wealth tax, yes, income tax, no, then, on that basis?
A wealth tax, 100% as part of a number of reforms that would target growing inequality.
OK, Albie, Reeves named tariffs and inflation that was stubborn, was slow to come down, I think was the phrase she used. Do those sound like excuses to you? That's certainly not what she expected or could have anticipated when they made those manifesto promises.
Well, nothing really has changed economically from when she made those manifesto promises to now, to be honest. So, yeah, I think they are excuses. And the inflation situation has been unfavourable for a while. Yeah, I suppose you could argue that Trump's tariffs are a new economic factor, but they probably don't have a huge impact on the UK economy, although the impact that they have had is certainly not positive. On the point about income tax and wealth taxes, though, naturally, I profoundly disagree with Marina. First of all, if we look at income tax, so the argument is that the wealthy should pay more income tax, as if we don't already have an incredibly progressive income tax framework.
I haven't said that.
I have not attributing that to you. I'm saying it's an argument that people make, as if we don't already have an incredibly progressive income tax system. The top 1% of income taxpayers pay for about 30% of all income tax receipts. The top 10% of income taxpayers pay for about 60% of all income tax receipts. So we already progressively tax income and salary. Now, when it comes to wealth taxes, like the one that Marina is talking about, popularised by Zach Polansky and some people on the left of the Labour Party, they talk about a wealth tax on people who have more than £10 million in assets or cash or whatever, some sort of monetary value, raising £24 billion a year. There is no wealth tax in the world that raises that amount of money, even in comparable countries. Nowhere in the world. And actually, in a lot of these countries that do have wealth taxes, they don't have things like inheritance tax. They don't have things like capital gains tax. So it's not a like-for-like comparison. So this idea that a wealth tax and higher income tax on higher earners is going to solve all of our problems is nonsense.
How do we ensure that those who have benefited the most from the success of the country, or the successes of the country, pay back into that
They
system?
are paying back. The top 1% of income tax payers
Albie,
pay 30% of income
Albie,
tax.
at
The
the
top
moment,
10%
at the moment,
of earners pay 60% of all
Albie,
income
why-
tax.
why
They are
are
paying
you-
back. I don't want anyone to pay a penny more tax. I want us to stop being so wasteful with our spending, and we need to cut back in areas which we can't afford.
So which one would you cut back on? Would you cut back on social care? Because that's a massive part of our economy, what we spend on. Would you cut back on adult social care?
I'd look at pensions, I'd look at welfare. Those are the two things that I'd look at. If we look at the biggest line item on the government balance sheet is pensions and welfare. Those are the biggest line items. And we need to look at...
So you would take money from people who have paid in throughout their lives, and then you would, those people who are working at the moment, you would cut them some slack, would you? You'd say to pensioners, effectively, get rid of the triple lock, for instance. You don't get that guarantee of your pension going forward.
Yes, I've said before that I would act to triple lock on pensions. I also think we need to look at public sector pensions, which are a lot more generous than any of the private sector pensions that many people are on. We need to get rid of these gold-plated public sector pensions and introduce something more progressive and something more affordable and something more like the pensions that us in the private sector receive.
I don't disagree with some of the stuff regarding pensions. I do think we need to look at the triple lock, right? But why are you so intent on defending people? If we're talking about 1% on 10 million, right? They would still have 9.9 million. The average wealth of a millionaire grows by 5 to 8% every single year. Why are you defending this 1% they wouldn't even notice? It's not going to break them. It tackles this spiralling inequality. These people have these very tax-efficient vehicles. They have tax advisors on speed dial. They have access to these sort of loopholes that the rest of us do not have.
It's not going to raise the money you say it will.
OK.
That's the point. It's not going to solve the problem that you say is there.
It is a silver bullet to fix our problems. I believe that a wealth tax that would raise between 15 and 25 billion, as we've seen in other countries like...
It's not. Where has it done that?
Like Norway, for example, where they have had a wealth tax...
Where they don't have the same
years.
capital gains tax or inheritance tax framework that we do. These are not like-for-like comparisons.
Which is why I'm saying this should be one measure with a package of measures, which is inheritance tax overhaul, capital gains overhaul,
but they don't have those taxes at all.
Tax
We're going to carry this on after the break. As you can tell, they are on fire. Taking your calls as well. Do you think the rich should pay more income tax? How should it be structured? What do you reckon? Does it sound fair? Give us a call now with your thoughts. 0207862 2222. That's the number you need. We'll be back shortly. Before the break, we asked who was the mastermind behind the gunpowder plot. The answer, Robert Catesby. Catesby masterminded it, and Guy Fawkes is the one that got caught red-handed. I don't think he got away with it, to be honest. I think it was pretty awful. Welcome back. We're live on 5 on the 5th of November with Marina and Albie. Later on, we're asking if it's fair to blame parents if their 4 and 5-year-olds go to school overweight. But first, should the rich pay more income tax? 0207862 2222 is the number to get in touch. We, of course, already know people do contribute more depending on which tax band they fall into. That is the nature of progressive taxation, one of the principles of good tax. Adam Smith. Here we go, though. Let's have a look. This is the way it works at the moment. You start at the bottom. In England, Wales and Northern Ireland, we've got 4 tax bands. At the bottom there, your personal tax allowance. You pay 0% on anything up to £12,570. That's been frozen for some years now. Then we have the basic rate where you pay 20% on tax earnings above that, up to £50,270. The higher rate kicks in just after that, from 50 grand up to 125 grand. And there is then the additional rate, 45% for anything over £125,140. Wonder whether Rachel Reeves is thinking about what's happening in Scotland, because it is different, more complicated. As you can see, they've added a few bands. As you can see, they have the starter rate, 19%, and that's for the first £3,000 odd over your allowance. Then here, the intermediate rate we have, that's from 27 grand to 43 grand. You'll also notice the 45% rate starts at £75,000, and at the top, 48% for anything over £125,000. I'm going to bring one ghost back from the past as well. One tax rate to mention, the infamous super tax imposed by Harold Wilson's government in the 60s, targeted at the super rich, so-called, took 83% of earned income and an additional 15% of money earned through investments. The Beatles, in their song Taxman, famously claimed it meant there was a 95% super tax, and it applied to people who earned around £15,000. That's the equivalent of 310 grand salary in today's money. Albie, you know, those were serious times. He needed to plug up the nation's finances in the same way we do today. That sort of super tax, what's the downside of it? Why not take those people who are earning like the Beatles were and say, look, times are tough, you need to pay back?
What happened after that tax was brought in the 70s? Was there an economic crisis?
Was it directly to do with that, or was it external circumstances of the sort that Rachel Reeves is talking about?
So economic crises happen when a country is not generating enough revenue, generating enough prosperity, generating enough wealth to pay for the public sector liabilities that the public expect. Now, you could make an argument that a way to plug the gap is to increase taxes, and you can plug the gap that way, and people aren't going to change the way they behave, and that everything's going to carry on going chickety-boo, and it will all be fine. But that actually very rarely happens. And I think that is typified by the 70s crisis that we saw. And actually what we start seeing when you raise taxes beyond a certain point is that people change their behaviour. People stop working as much. People stop creating businesses. People stop saving. And actually, the revenue that is taken by the taxman reduces because taxes are too high. Even Tony Blair has identified this. Recently, he said, one of the things Rachel Reeves might want to look at doing is actually reducing the top band of income tax, because it might make that group of people more productive, the most productive part of society, work more and actually generate more money for the exchequer. It's something called the Laffer curve. So there is a point where if you raise taxes too high, it actually has a negative impact on the economy, which is the opposite of what we want to see.
I'm going to agree on that. I have got a real problem with income tax. I do think our income is taxed too highly in this country. I do. And especially at the lower band, I think the threshold should be higher before you start paying tax. And I think the higher band, like when you get to a certain amount, you lose all your benefits, you lose your childcare, it all just falls off a cliff. And the effective tax rate is ridiculous.
Disincentive to
Completely
people to
is.
work.
Now, where we have an issue, I have a real issue, is the people that can sleep day in, day out, they don't have to do a thing, and their accumulation of wealth, their inherited wealth, their huge spiralling property portfolio just accumulates without them doing a single thing. This is where we need to tax.
Let's take some calls. Paul's in Norfolk. Paul, are you ready to tax the rich more than we do currently?
As I was just saying, good morning, sorry.
Good morning, Paul.
As I was just saying to the young lady that rang me back, I think the government and everyone else is looking at just taxing a certain class of people. I'm not wealthy, I'm on sickness benefits, so I'm not a wealthy person. But if they was to look at 10 pence in every pound that anyone earns, be that through savings, investment, profit from business, anything, any pound that is earned by any person in this country, whether they're living in this country or living abroad and just claiming the money, should be taxed at 10p in the pound.
Are you talking about Are you talking about what's called unearned income, Paul? So Marina was talking about people that make money in their sleep, effectively, whether
I'm
it's
talking about
dividends on
everything.
shares or whatever that is. That's where we need to focus because they're not putting in the graft.
Every single pound, whether it's earned or unearned, then it should be taxed at 10p in the pound.
So a flat rate.
That way they can close all the loopholes, like ISIS, that don't pay any taxes, as I understand.
Okay. If we're talking about a flat rate of tax, Paul, for 10p across everything, I think we're going to go bust pretty quickly. Because that's not a progressive tax and we aren't charging people more as they earn more, as they take
But
more
the people
home.
that earn more don't pay any more tax because they can afford a solicitor or a law accountant to turn around and say, right, put your money in this investment, you don't pay any tax on it.
OK. Paul, thanks for your
But
call.
if it was a law thing where they turn around and said, right, every pound that a single person earned, you will pay 10p in the pound.
It would certainly simplify things, but I think we'd have schools closing and hospitals shutting down, if I'm honest with you, Paul. Thanks for your call, though. We'll take another one. Derek's in Devon. Should we be taxing those with wealth or those who earn more than we are at the moment, Derek?
Good morning. I'm a pensioner. Now, my idea is do not tax the rich because they've earned it. The government, present and previous, have mismanaged funds. Ukraine, we're giving billions away there. NHS, you're throwing money down the drain there. Now, the rich should not dig this country out of the mire.
Derek, you say there that rich people have earned it. I'm going to...
earned it. However,
what about people that inherit wealth? What about people that are born lucky in the right place at the right time with money in their pocket already?
Yeah, fair enough. Then obviously tax them. But what's offended me and the reason why I've actually rung in is the gentleman on your panel has gone on about the old age pensioners triple lock. Now, pensioners, that's the only money they've got coming in and everything is going up. So you take the triple lock off a pensioner and they're going to be struggling. They'll be suicidal because, hello.
I'm not saying take the triple lock off all pensioners. What I'm saying is when I say we need to get rid of the triple lock is that the triple lock on state pensions needs to be means tested. I think it's outrageous that there are, and this might not be you or maybe some of the pensioners who are watching and calling in today, but there are 25% of pensioners in this country who are millionaires who receive the state pension and have the triple lock on state pensions. I don't think that is justifiable when we cannot afford to fund the public services that we need in this country in the way that we currently want them. I don't think that's defensible.
I agree.
Well, with the public services, with the NHS, that needs to be looked at because there is so much wasteful money being spent on them. I agree we need the NHS, but I can see the NHS being privatised. So if you want to use the NHS, you pay for the services because now we've got so many people coming into the country.
But do you disagree? Do you disagree with pensioners who are millionaires getting the state pension and the winter fuel allowance, or do you think that is perfectly reasonable?
Well, we're all on the same playing field, aren't we?
Okay.
We're not.
I think what's clear from this is as soon as we come up with what look like very simple answers for taxation, we then start adding a lot of buts and ifs after that make it just as complex as it was in the first place. Derek, thank you for your call. Thanks for all your calls. After the break, we're taking more of your calls on this. Should the rich pay even more income tax? 0207 2222. That's the number you need. And we'll see you very shortly. Before the break, we asked what is currently happening to Prince Albert's pyramid in Balmoral. The answer is it's sinking into the ground. You guys been? Have you seen the big pyramid at Balmoral?
I have not, but I'm absolutely devastated here. It's sinking into the
But
ground.
you've never seen it. You would know. If I hadn't said that, you would never have known.
I wouldn't, but I'm
he's
sad.
devastated,
I'm
but he's
sad on demand.
How can you be
Matt.
sad about things you've never seen before?
Look,
it's
it's
quite
something. It's
reflective.
something to do with the royals. It's sinking into the ground. It's sad. To
Oh,
me.
well, that's it, exactly. I think it's indicative of the royal.
I knew you were going to bring out the metaphor. Visitors eager to see a pyramid Queen Victoria built to immortalise Albert. They've worn away the foundations with their footsteps. 11 metres high it is, and it's in the mud of Balmoral, not the shifting sands of Egypt. Hello again. Marina and Albie are with us this morning. Later on, we'll be asking if the government should allow people to carry pepper spray as a form of self-defence. But now, more of your calls on whether Rachel Reeves should only increase taxes for the wealthy. Would that help to fix the economy, or do we all need to put our shoulder to the wheel? 0207 862 2222. That's the number you need to get in touch. Loads of you are already. Jenny is in West Sussex. Jenny, should we all pitch in, or do we pay enough already? I'm going to go out on a limb here and assume that you're not independently wealthy. Are you, Jenny?
No, I'm not. Good morning. I think that the wealthy should pay more, not everybody, because the tax allowance isn't high enough to start off with in the first place. But rather than that, I think the government should go after people who claimed all the bounce-back loans and the fraud that went on during COVID and claim that money back.
OK. I mean, that's really interesting. When we see these cases now see the light of day, how much did that tell you about the way the country actually works, Jenny?
It just told me it just doesn't work at all properly. It was just ridiculous. They were giving loans out to people with no evidence. The banks didn't care because it was underwritten by the government. Loads of people on this, that VIP line got all those contracts, and it wasn't just Michelle Mone. There's lots of other people. It was just, must be huge amounts. Must be absolutely huge amounts of money.
And Albie, that, I think for a lot of people, Jenny sounds like one of them, we look at that and say that idea that you only get what you earn in this country by hard graft, effort, ingenuity, we're looking at and saying, no, it's a completely rigged game, and therefore we have to take that wealth from people. We have to rebalance what people get.
There are some bad apples when it comes to successful people, just as there are bad apples in every group of society. I think suggesting that every single business person that has done well for themselves is somehow comparable to someone like Michelle Mone, who has obviously become a pin-up girl for the COVID scandal and how much money was wasted there. I think comparing every successful person to that would be totally wrong. There are huge success stories in this country, and I want there to be more success stories in this country. If you think about people like Lord Sugar, Alan Sugar, Sir David Beckham, for example, who has just received a knighthood for his services to football, earns lots of money. You know, not everyone who is successful, in fact, the majority of people who are successful in this country are law-abiding citizens who have worked hard, who have grafted, made money, been successful, made sacrifices, taken risks that other people wouldn't have taken, and they've been successful. We should be incentivising that and trying to encourage more people in that direction.
This idea, I'm sorry, Albie, I'm going to bring in, you come from a privileged background.
I do not.
Right? You went to a private school.
On a scholarship. I grew up in a single-parent household.
But straight away, that puts you on a different starting point than most of society. It just does, right? This is not about punishing success. This is about...
It is about punishing success.
It's absolutely not.
That is exactly what increasing taxes is.
There is a group of millionaires in this country called the patriotic millionaires, and they are touring the country, and they are lobbying our politicians, saying, tax us more.
How many of them donate? How many of them donate their money directly to the government? Do any of them do that?
Yes, I don't know for sure.
Do all of them do it? Because they can do it.
The point they're making is, if just a handful do it, it won't make change. If we make this part of our system, that's when change.
But what if they leave the country?
I want to come back to wealthy.
What if the wealthy leave the country?
Albie, land and property do not pack a suitcase. And if those people want to leave because of a 1% tax on assets over 10 million, then maybe they're not in it for the country. Maybe they're just in it for the extraction of wealth. OK,
I want to go back to Jenny. Jenny, I wonder if taxation is the way to deal with people who have got what they've got, maybe unfairly, that sense of injustice that you feel. Or isn't that what justice is for? To write rules and make sure people play by the rules? Taxation does a different thing, doesn't it?
No. I'm saying if people play by the rules, that's fine, but they need to look into the claims and all the extra money that people made just to ensure that it was correct. If it was correct and legal, fine. If it was fraudulent, these people need to pay it back. And if it was fraudulent, they really need to be criminalised, but that won't happen. They just need to pay it back, and that would claw back a lot of money.
Yeah, I just wonder, Jenny, how would you feel if the result of this next budget is not a wealth tax and not an extra 5% on those top earners, if it actually ended up being you that pays more income tax?
Yeah, I wouldn't be happy. I think we pay enough tax as it is. If you're on a normal income, sort of under £30,000, you pay a lot of tax as it is. People on 100, 200, a million don't pay their fair share. They have better accountants and they minimise their tax.
Isn't this the problem? It's that we always want someone else to pay the tax for the public services that we use. I mean, this is the problem. It's a problem with the wealth tax, with Marina. Oh, someone else should pay for it, not me. It's a problem with you, Jenny. You say, oh, the higher earner should pay for it, but not me. It's always someone else's problem.
I'm going to give you an example. Like, for example, Amazon, where we need, again, another reform I would do if I were in power, is corporation tax, where you've got these massive multinationals which make billions, which do not even pay the proper tax because they move their profits offshore. They've got all these loopholes. They lay off people. Amazon uses our roads, our people, works them to the bone. They then have to use our NHS, our care, whatever. Pay back to the system that you extract from when you are making billions. That's all we're asking, Albie. How are you defending this?
OK, let's come back to Jenny because, Albie was speaking directly to you, Jenny.
Yeah, no, he was talking rubbish. People on normal incomes pay their fair share of taxes. People who are rich and earn a fortune do not pay their fair share of taxes. Marina's absolutely right.
OK, thank you, Jenny. Let's take another call. James is in Greater Manchester. James, would you be happy if the result of the budget we're going to see in November means those with the most pay even more?
Well, it's a fair idea, but there's about 15 million pensioners already fled the country. It's just like the late 70s, They just got these accountants and barristers and all that, and they can go to Dubai. I know already a couple who's gone to Dubai, and stuff like that. So, but I'd just like to say something else, which somebody else had just said earlier about old age pensioners. I'm 73 and I'm paying income tax on my state pension. I owe £189, so I got to pay it. So I think hundreds of thousands, because they're not moving the allowance up, in the next few years will be paying income tax.
So, James, as I understand it, James, you can't be paying income tax on your state pension at the moment.
It's class. I get CERPS, State Earning Relation Pension Scheme, but it comes as my state pension.
Right.
It's not a private pension or anything like that. And he said if we don't pay, we will take means to pay it.
OK, but it was a workplace pension, which is in addition to what we'd call your state pension.
So I get £30 a week extra on that. So I don't get any benefits or anything like that, and I don't need them. I'm just stating that. But in next year or the year after, because of the freeze and the allowance, hundreds of thousands of pensioners on one of the lowest pensions in the modern countries, world, the lowest possibly, will be paying income tax. Is that a vote winner?
Well, I'm not sure that anything that's going to come out of the budget is necessarily going to be a vote winner, but there are huge holes in our finance. James, what would you do then? Because you're saying don't take my pension away. You're also saying don't tax me on my pension. And you're saying that those who earn the most are inescapable. You can't catch them because they've got such good accountants.
Yes, I think it should be broadened, but I think the allowance is too low for pensioners, as I've just said.
We're going to have to leave it there. Thank you, James. Thanks for all your calls on this. Later on, we're asking if using pepper spray for self-defence should be made legal. After the break, though, are parents to blame if their children are obese? 0207 862 2222. That's the number you need. We'll see you after.